Hey everybody, Ben here. Just wanted to record another video and get something up this week on YouTube. For this video, I wanted to talk about something a little bit different, which was getting rid, selling, trading, whatever, some of the cheaper bulk lot style games that I imagine many of you have. If you do some of the stuff that I do, like you go to flea markets, maybe you use Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp and you buy a lot of games at once, maybe you buy somebody's Xbox 360 collection and you're getting 25 games with it, inevitably you're going to end up with a lot of copies of Madden, a lot of, $5 or less games, just cheap stuff that ultimately you got to figure out a plan for because you only need a few of them for your collection and everything else has to go. So a lot of you have asked me about this, how do I get rid of this stuff? How do I make it effective? How do I not lose money picking this stuff up? So hopefully we're going to talk about some good strategies for that today. I even took some notes here. I think personally that you can make this stuff work, and it is worth sometimes having a little bit of bulk excess and things you can use to make deals happen. So I'm going to talk about some of those strategies today. If you like this video, if you're interested in hearing more strategies, ways I approach, trades or selling off extra stuff, make sure to let me know. Leave a comment down below. Hit the like button. The like is huge. It helps, hopefully, YouTube show my video to more people. I know recently my impressions are really down, so maybe I just don't have the right keywords or whatever. And of course, subscribe to the channel so the channel can grow. Subscribers, we're a little over 1,000 now. I want to get to 1,100 and beyond. Anyway, let's get into some of the strategies. Before I get into anything too specific, I just wanted to show some of the stuff we're talking about. I mean, I have a little bin that I keep usually with, like, I consider the sort of bulk games. You can see it's like NFL Game Day 98 and Madden 2000. We've got a Xbox One copy of NBA 2K7. We've got Dance Central. Others here, just random stuff. Some of which maybe are a little bit more desirable than others. Here's Snowcross 2. Whatever. I mean, this stuff is sitting around and it's always going to be there. You're always going to have games like this. So let's talk about how to get rid of them. One concept before we get into actual tips that I want everybody to keep in mind is that, especially on eBay, having stuff sit around forever that doesn't sell for like a year or two is really, really bad. My understanding with eBay, at least, is that if you have items that are sitting up for a long time that are not getting sold, that eBay will punish you in their algorithm. So whatever you do with this stuff, make sure that if you have like an eBay store or something like that, that the stuff you have is moving at a fairly decent clip. Not everything needs to sell right away, but you need to have things in your store that'll sell. You can't only sell these cheap games, so keep that in mind. One thing I think that's really important is to sort of categorize or come up with a way to think about what these like cheapo games are actually worth. And when I say that, all of these games here are pretty inexpensive, probably in the $4, $5, $6 range in terms of their market value. But some of them are actually probably going to be easier to sell than others. And so I kind of feel like before you start selling or trading these, you should sort of figure out where in the cheapo spectrum they are, because you're going to deal with these things in different ways. So I pulled a few games here, and I'm just going to talk about what I think about them. So first, you sort of have games. I pulled Ace Combat 5. This is just a inexpensive, complete in box PS2 game. It's probably not a high rank or high seller, but it's a good game, and you could probably get it, I'm guessing, $5, $6, $7 complete in box. It's good. You could probably sell it by itself, but it's not going to be a fast mover. Then you have other stuff here, like this is a sealed copy of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare on the Xbox One. And so this also, if this was opened, it would be really difficult to sell. But because it is sealed, it's kind of a different story. Now it's kind of an interesting mover. I mean, I've sold many copies of this. This came in that big bulk lot I got in a previous video from over the summer. Then you've got stuff like interesting handheld games. So this one's probably like a $5 game, Lego Battles. I mean, nothing too special, but it is a DS game. I tend to find that DS games move better than other stuff. Like, all things being equal, a DS game probably will sell faster than an Xbox 360 game. I just find that may vary. Like, for example, a GameCube game is probably going to sell better than a Nintendo Wii game, even at the $5 to $10 level. Not only that, Lego Battles, like a game like this, also has a franchise on it. So like a game that is using a franchise, is on a fairly popular platform that I think can sell, even at $5 is probably okay and should be able to sell on eBay. Then you have games like, I would call this in a weird way, like kind of both an intellectual property, but like also a meme.
So like Mary-Kate and Ashley, I can't imagine this game is good, but believe it or not, I sell these games. Like whenever I find like a Mary-Kate and Ashley game, you can generally sell them on eBay. Again, you're not going to get tons of money, but you're going to end up with these things, so you got to try and find a way to deal with them. And so this is up on eBay, I think, for like maybe $5, $6, $7, and I expect that this will sell in time. I maybe won't sell overnight. But just this week, I sold a different Mary-Kate and Ashley game, and so those are okay. You don't have to get too sophisticated with those. Um, you have games like this. This is Snowcross 2. I would kind of call this a quote-unquote low-rank game. And by that I mean, you're not going to have a lot of people going out and getting Snowcross 2. They're not going to be looking for this title necessarily, unless maybe they really need this to fill a gap in their collection or something like that. People are more likely to find in a search a Mary-Kate and Ashley game than they are to find a Snowcross 2 game. Yeah, in terms of the fair market value, they're probably both about the same. So something like this is going to take a long time to move, and so you may have to come up with different strategies for it. Another thing to keep in mind is like loose disc games. So Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX, this is just a loose disc PS1 game. It's going to be really hard to sell because a similar copy, even cheap, with like the case and manual, is only going to go for probably a couple bucks more. So on eBay or something like that, these games just aren't going to move all that quickly. So you're going to have to find ways to make it worth the buyer's while to get them, which probably means bulk lotting them up. I just recently took 7 Xbox games, original Xbox games that were all really cheap, put them in jewel cases. These games were maybe $3 to $4 each, and I sort of bundled them up together and listed them for 25 bucks because that's kind of the only way they're going to move. It reduces the shipping cost, all that. I'm going to talk more about that in a second. And then I pulled out Connected Ventures last because this is the absolute crap. These games, I'm not going to have too many strategies to get rid of things like this. Connected Ventures, Wii Fit, these sorts of games really have very limited value outside of the bundles they're with. So if you have a copy of Connected Ventures, bundle it with a Kinect and cross your fingers and hope it sells. Make sure, the key is, of course, these are the things you can't really pay anything for. If they end up in other lots, that's fine. It's okay to spend $1 on a Lego Battles if you're only going to get $5 in 3 months reselling it or something. That's not a big deal. But if this sits forever, it's not really worth paying anything for. Another thing to keep in mind, and I didn't pull it out because it would be big, but you got to think about things that are big to store, are slow to move, and maybe are cumbersome to ship. And like, for example, I would think of maybe a broken original Xbox 360. Yeah, maybe its market value is like $10 or something like that, but you're going to have a hell of a time selling it. So you can't even think about stuff like that. All right, let's get into some different strategies that I've employed using some of these sort of classifications as a guide. So using these 3 as examples, again, all maybe $5, $6 games, these are all ones that I would just straight up list on eBay. A brand new Xbox One game, a pretty decent PS2 game, and sort of the meme PS1 game, all complete in box, all in nice shape. And yeah, it's not going to sell overnight. You're probably going to put these up. Maybe Call of Duty will sell pretty quick, but these 2 are going to take a little bit of time. You may have to go in after you list it on an eBay. You might have to wait a few months and then even do a sell similar where you end the listing and then sell similar to get a new item number to sort of pump the auction again and sort of get some attention on it. I wouldn't recommend listing any of these for like a 99-cent auction because chances are you're probably just going to end up selling it for 99 cents. Better off to list it for like $5 or $6 plus maybe a best offer thing and hope somebody buys it in time. The key is that you can't have too much of this stuff all at once. So if I was listing, let's say I wanted to list 10 items a day on eBay to get rid of a bunch of games I had, I can't, for those 10 items, have all of those items be like this. What I would typically do is I would have these 3 items, plus maybe a couple that are in the $10 to $15 range used games. So like, let's say, along with these, maybe a God of War on PS2, and maybe a Crash Bandicoot on PS1, or a Nintendo GameCube game, practically anything really. Or maybe, like, for example, since I've got the Call of Duty sealed game there that sells well but is cheap, I might also take like a Mass Effect Andromeda, which I know consistently sells for $10 new, and list that too. And the idea is that we're not really going to get our store punished by the eBay algorithm because we're only listing cheap games. We have to take our cheap games and kind of mix them up with some good stuff so that we're still getting attention on our store. We want somebody who goes to our eBay store to see that we have really good things and okay things and things that are maybe inexpensive and maybe sell a lot of stuff at once. One thing that does happen when you do that too is somebody may come up and they may say, I'm going to buy, I had a guy buy Sniper Elite 4 for me today for $24 on eBay. And then he bought, 5 other Xbox games that were all like $4 or $5 a piece. And that's a great sale. So you want to do things like that. But the only way you can do that is to have these things available. And I know a lot of people will say, well, it's not really worth listing this stuff. You're only going to make net like $3. But that's not the point. The point is to have a lot of different things in your store that people are going to buy so that you're always selling stuff, that you never have a time where things are down. I hope that makes sense. This one is pretty simple, but I think very effective for eBay, which is lotting stuff up in terms of similar franchises. So like right here, and this is maybe not the best example because I think these could probably sell each on their own, but I bundled these two TAC games together and I'm going to try and sell them for 20 plus shipping instead of, maybe 10 each plus shipping. Because the reality is I could probably ship both of these for the same price as shipping one together. That makes it a more attractive sale. Plus, the truth is I could list these together as one listing and then list these separately as 2 other listings. And if one of the single ones sells, well, that's fine. I just cancel the other listing. So that's an approach for that. Really good also for the cheaper games like Saints Row. So I just put this up this week, which is Saints Row 4 and Saints Row 3. I think I was asking like $9 or $10 plus shipping. And I've sold these games before for the $4 or $5 range plus shipping. But it takes a while. So I'm kind of hoping that by putting them together, I find somebody who wants both games for their 360 and buys them both at once. It can be very effective. I just sold the other day a Mass Effect trilogy for like $15 plus shipping by just taking Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3 and bundling them together. Those games take forever to sell on their own. Here's a loose disc lot I put together for Xbox games that are pretty common. All of these are definitely $3, $4, $5 games tops on market value. I think I have them all listed together for $25 plus shipping. First of all, shipping these will be like probably one priority shipment for like $8 as opposed to, each one being $4 each for shipping and never selling. This game would never sell if you listed it for $4 plus shipping. It's not worth $8 to somebody. The other advantage to selling like this, of course, is that you actually are reducing your fees too. If I did happen to manage to sell all 7 of these games, I'd pay not only the final value fee, but also I think it's 30 or 35 cent fee on each sale just for making the sale. So instead of getting whatever it is, $2.50 in fees from selling all of these, I'm paying 30 cents once. So I save a couple bucks, which lets me actually lower the price if I want and sort of still make it all more attractive to sell. So I hope that makes sense. Another way to approach it. Some games, honestly, I think are better just to bundle with systems, and I picked out a few of them right here. These games are all decent enough quality. They could be a fun experience. They're probably $4 to $5. They're incredibly common. But, the best way to sell them is with the system. Wii Play comes to mind. I actually sold a Wii locally the other day, and I gave the guy Wii Play with it because it's an easy game to just pick up and play. Doesn't cost very much. It's really not going to sell. It's incredibly common. But if you bundle it with the system, it actually makes the system a little bit more appealing and easier to sell. You're not really losing anything by selling it. Same for like Star Wars, Thief, Tetris Worlds, Topspin. The only things I would say with something like this is you're looking for basically, when you're bundling with a system, you don't want to just take only copies of Madden and FIFA. It's maybe okay to include 1 or 2 of those games in with a bundle, but you need to have some appealing games that actually draw people in. And for those things, you need to pick things that have just general mass appeal, even if they're cheap. The other thing to keep in mind is you have to be mindful of shipping in the end. So it's okay to bundle things in, but if it makes the shipping cost too high, then you're still making the item not so appealing. The flat rate boxes from USPS for medium and large flat rate are pretty good for this. Like I might take a Wii or an Xbox 360 and put it in a box and then see how many games I can pack in with it. And then that's my listing, so I know exactly what my shipping fees are going to be. So that's another way of approaching these extras. Of course, another approach is always the big bulk lot. You could do this either with like a auction for a week, starting it at 99 cents on a Sunday and letting it go an entire week and seeing what you can get if you don't really care about the price, or just going with this low price per game with a flat shipping price. This is a medium flat rate box. It used to have 20 games. I actually sold one of the individual games. Remember, I said I talked about doubling up. I'll list something like this with these, and I'm sorry about the glare. You can see they're nothing too special. I'll list something like this, and I'll have a lot of these games listed separately. And if one of those games sells, I'll just cancel this and then relist it with another bulk game in it. Anyway, for something like this, I try and say, well, if these are maybe, I'd like to get $3 a game,
20 games, it's $60 plus shipping. You might get lucky. It takes a little while to sell these items, but you do sell them in time, or maybe you get a good offer, or maybe somebody, a loyal customer, decides they're going to reach out to you. They've already bought some other stuff and now they want a good deal, so you sell them this stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, the goal with this stuff is to get rid of it. Don't focus too much on getting maximum profit. Focus on getting good cash flow so you can use that money to do something else, as opposed to, sitting on something forever trying to get maximum price on a low value item. The goal of the low value items is to get rid of it. Of course, it's always important to diversify. A lot of things I'm talking about have to do with eBay, because honestly, most of the stuff in terms of the extras, the things that aren't so crazy expensive, do move through eBay. It's the biggest marketplace. It's where you can get most of your stuff sold. But you should use other things too. OfferUp is pretty good. Facebook Marketplace is pretty good. And you don't have to use these a lot, but every so often it's nice to get one of those extra local sales or a trade or something like that. So you have different ways of selling stuff. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the idea of trading into stores, Second and Charles, your local video game store, GameStop, whatever. Just keep in mind when it comes to these really, really low-end things that GameStop and Second and Charles and all these other places are not going to give you much money, or even trading credit for that matter. If somebody came to me and they said, "Hey Ben, will you take these 100 copies of Men 2008? I know that I would sell like 3 of them in a year and the rest would sit." And so I would say, "Yeah, I'll give you, $5 for them," or something like that. Basically, if I sell one of them, I make a profit. Everything else is bulk. Because the truth is that they know exactly what you and I know, which is that this stuff doesn't move all that quickly. And so trading them into a store, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense. I usually try and say, well, when I have these scraps, these things that are really not worth a lot, what can I do to get the most value out of them? And usually it means giving somebody a deal, bundling it in with something else, making a big lot, making it cheap, just doing whatever I can to make it appealing for somebody to get use out of it. Even donating it is better, because at least you put a smile on somebody's face. So anyway, that's just my opinion on the matter. This is just how I approach it. I hope this was helpful. This is a different kind of video for me. Let me know in the comments what you think. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed this stuff. I'm happy to give other tips and FAQs and guidance videos for stuff like this in the future. And of course, subscribe if you found this content interesting at all. Anyway, that's it. Take care, be safe out there, and see you next time.